What if the most advanced air defense network on the planet, a system designed to wipe supersonic jets from the sky, could be blinded by a device built with consumer electronics? What fatal vulnerability exists not in the hardware, but in the very physics its radars rely upon? And what happens when $1 billion shield meets $1,000 sword? This isn't a theoretical war game. This is the story of a pre-dawn attack on a Crimean mountaintop that exposed a terrifying truth for modern militaries: that decades of technological dominance can be undone by ingenuity, asymmetry, and a fundamental misunderstanding of the threat. The first failure. At 0247 local time, a Russian patrol boat guarding the approaches to Crimea painted the impossible on its scopes: a low, slow, and seemingly insignificant contact heading towards the heart of its most protected airspace. Within minutes, the coastal defense network stirred to life. On a beach below the strategic Mount Ai Petri, a Pantsir S1, Russia's premier point defense system swiveled its radar dish. This was no leftover Soviet junk. It was a state-of-the-art killer designed to shred cruise missiles and smart bombs with a combination of high-velocity cannons and radar-guided missiles. It's computer locked on, and with a raw 5 missiles, over 30 million rubles worth of precision ordnance streaked into the darkness. But as the fireballs dissipated, the radar screen told a baffling tale. The target was still there, humming along, completely untouched. The drones had passed through a storm of steel unharmed. The Russian operator was facing a problem he couldn't comprehend. The Ukrainian drone was exploiting a fundamental principle of radar physics known as the Doppler notch. Radars don't just see objects, they measure the velocity of a target moving directly toward or away from them, its radial velocity. By flying perpendicular to the radar beam at a precise, low altitude, the drone presented a near-zero radial velocity. To the Pantsir's sophisticated computer, the target became statistically identical to stationary ground clutter, a tree, a hill, a building, and was automatically filtered out and ignored. The system wasn't being jammed, it was being tricked by its own programming. The missiles, programmed to find the radar signature of a jet or a cruise missile, flew straight through the empty space where their targeting solution should have been. Their proximity fuses never detecting a return signal substantial enough to trigger. The first layer of Crimea's vaunted defense had just been rendered an expensive paperweight. Act 2. The escalation. As the lead drone adjusted its course, lining up on the first of the large golf ball-like radomes crowning the summit, the Russian response escalated in desperation. The Pantsir, its missiles exhausted, switched to its twin 30mm cannons. Tracers lit up the pre-dawn darkness, painting beautiful and utterly useless patterns across the sky. The rounds fell wildly off mark. The fire control computer, calculating lead based on linear prediction, was solving a problem from 2 seconds ago, while the drone jinked and weaved, its random, slight course changes rendering the calculated intercept point completely obsolete. Radio channels erupted with frantic chatter. Controllers demanded fighter support. And from a nearby airbase, the answer came screaming in: an Su-30M fighter, a $35 million twin-engine beast equipped with the advanced BARS radar and a full arsenal of air-to-air missiles. This was the tool designed to clear the skies. But as the pilot dove into the engagement zone, his own world-class technology began to fail him. His radar scope showed contacts that flickered like phantoms, there for one sweep, gone for the next. The system required 5 consecutive radar returns to establish a solid track file, but these small, composite fiberglass drones kept dropping below the radar's noise floor, causing the computer to reset again and again, never achieving a lock. Frustrated, the pilot let loose an R-73 heat-seeking missile. 20 million rubles of engineering, capable of Mach 2.5 and pulling 40 Gs, raced forward. Its infrared seeker scanned for the 1,000 degrees Celsius heat signature of a jet engine. It found nothing. The drone's electric motor put out less heat than a kitchen appliance. The missile, blind and confused, shot past its target and veered off into the void. A second, third, and fourth missile followed with the same result. In a final futile act, the pilot closed to cannon range, spraying 30mm rounds that flew harmlessly behind where the drone had been, not where it was going. Out of options and low on fuel, the Su-30 was forced to disengage. The pinnacle of Russian aerial combat power had been defeated not by a peer, but by a slow, cold, and cheap drone. Act 3. The masterstroke and the Cascade. But the true strategic shock was yet to be revealed. As the Su-30 climbed away, Russian radar screens showed something that defied logic. New drone contacts weren't coming from the Ukrainian mainland. They were materializing just 10 kilometers off the Crimean coast, rising from the sea itself. The Russians, focused on the airborne threat, had missed the delivery system lurking in their blind spot. A series of unmanned surface vessels, USVS, essentially robotic attack boats, had been sitting stationary for hours. The secret wasn't stealth technology, it was simple geometry. The massive Podlyot K1 radar on Mount Ai Petri, capable of tracking ballistic missiles in space, sat at an elevation of over 1,000 meters. Physics dictated a minimum depression angle, carving a radar shadow, a cone of silence, over the coastal waters. Anything below 50 meters altitude within 10 to 15 kilometers of the shore was completely invisible to the mountain's powerful eyes. These boats were sailing in a city-sized hole in Russia's coverage. They acted as mobile relay stations. An operator in Odessa, hundreds of kilometers away, sent commands via an encrypted Starlink link to the boat, which then transmitted them to the drones nearby. It was a floating Wi-Fi extender for warfare. With this setup, the USVS launched their second wave. The drones swarmed towards the mountain, their paths now unopposed. The first wave had already done its job, crippling the 96 L6E cheeseboard radar, the key targeting node for the S-400 batteries. Now, the second wave went for the crown jewels. A shaped charge warhead detonated against the base of the Nebo-U VHF radar dome, its jet of molten copper piercing the reinforced maintenance hatch that was never designed to withstand a point-blank attack. This was the system Russia claimed could detect stealth fighters at 600 kilometers. Seconds later, the Podlyot K1, the guardian of the low-altitude approach, was hit. The Cascade was now total. Without these eyes, the mighty S-400 batteries below were blind, deaf, and dumb, reduced to billion-dollar lawn ornaments. The command bunker, the brain of the entire network, was the final target. A shaped charge turned its blast door into shrapnel, and secondary explosions deep within signaled the end of all command and control. Conclusion: the lingering fear. By 0300 hours, the mountain was silent, save for the crackle of burning servers and the hum of a few surviving drones returning to sea. In under 15 minutes, a network built over decades, costing hundreds of billions of rubles, was systematically dismantled, not by a rival superpower, but by a swarm of intelligent, cheap, and relentless drones. This attack serves as a stark lesson for militaries worldwide. The most dangerous threat is not always the one you've prepared for. It is the one that exploits the seams in your technology, the assumptions in your doctrine, and the physics you thought you controlled. It proves that in the new age of warfare, a $1,000 solution can indeed break a billion-dollar shield, leaving every modern Navy and Air Force to ask one terrifying question: is our most prized technology already obsolete?